This is a full review for The King's Dilemma, a 1 to 5 player game that's a legacy game and also very story driven, with the main mechanic being auctions. So let's see. I'm just going to show pictures here because I don't want to spoil anything. I guess showing some stuff from the game would give stuff away, and this will be safer. So when you start the game, you're going to choose a kind of a faction that you're going to be. In this case, it's the Dukes of Gammon. And you may decide based on the picture on the thing or what, this little slogan or here. But essentially, everyone's going to get a different faction. And that's going to kind of determine your long-term objectives and kind of what you're working for. Like certain factions are going to work a little bit more towards prestige, and some are going to work a little bit towards crave, which are the 2 types of points in the game. Another thing that comes in the game is this map, which we didn't really use, but I think if you got into the story, maybe more than our group did, it would give you some background, I guess. I thought it was a cool addition, but not really necessary. So after you choose that, I'm not going to show the backs of this. You're going to end up with a game that's set up kind of like this, without the cool mallet. I would say the mallet's pretty awesome, but does not come in the game. And you're going to have a setup kind of like this. You can have your map over here, which again is rarely used. You're going to have your balance, which is, we'll talk about in a second, but essentially how you're going to, easy way to look at what tokens are going to move based on, or what tokens are likely to move based on the bid in which direction. And then you have a section for stickers, which are chronicle stickers, which you can get, which kind of determines how people view your faction throughout time. Another thing you get every game, so you're going to have these long-term objectives, which are on the back of your screen, but you're also going to have a short-term objective, which is your primary scoring vehicle for the round in terms of getting your score, although it doesn't determine whether you're going to get prestige or crave for it, which we'll talk about in a second. So each game is essentially going to be drawing from this deck. So you're going to have a deck of events, and you're going to bid on those. Each event is going to have a likely outcome. So it might be like, I'll give you an example, like an easy event from today's world. You might have an event that says, okay, I'm going to go get some, do I want to get eggs or bacon? And if I get eggs, maybe food goes up. And if I get bacon, maybe morale goes up. Because people like, a lot of people like bacon, I guess. Based on that, people will bid for one of those objectives. Like for, in this case, it would be I for eggs or nay for bacon. And these tokens will move. The game will end one of 2 ways. Either the tokens move, like one of them moves, this balance tracker moves off the bottom or the top, which is based on the amount of movement of these tokens combined in one direction. So if it goes off negative, it means the king abdicates for some negative reason. If it goes off positive, king abdicates for some positive reason. You'll get score based on that. If it goes off negative, you'll get people that win will get more crave. If it goes off positive, people that win will get more prestige. And then the third way it can end is the king will die. So after you fill up, it's 6, 7 events. Every event after that could potentially have a skull symbol on it, and the game will end after that vote if the skull shows up. Now, another thing that's not clear is what prestige and crave do. They're symbolized as a crave is like you craving for power, and prestige is you are getting recognized for your good work. And again, different factions will lean different directions with this. I can't tell you which one is better than the other. I can tell you that crave is much harder to get. It seems like it's more expensive to get crave than it is to get prestige, based on the scoring. Overall, the campaign length takes about 15 games to complete. For us, it took 16, but it could be less or more. I mean, some of our games were really short, like they ended extremely quickly. So you can also have varying game lengths. I think some of them lasted only like 25 or 30 minutes. Some went well over an hour for the game. So I think it moved along pretty fast. It took us about, I think we were doing about 3 to 4 a night. So it took us 5 nights, I think, to finish. We had to do 1 or 2 games like as an off night. So I think that's a good overview of the game. Let me talk about some of the positive things in this game. So the first thing is the unique mechanisms. I think the really kind of the two unique things here is the way they integrated the legacy mechanism into kind of easy to play. Like the gameplay moved along really quick, but also incorporated this, okay, it kind of remembers a little bit of what happened in the past. I think that was really well done. The other thing I liked is the auctions. So the auctions felt fair, and let me get into this, is that things happened in the game. Sometimes you wanted them to happen, sometimes you didn't. But if you thought someone else was going to bid the way you wanted to happen, maybe you stepped out of the bidding that turn. Maybe you use that to gather some power back, which is another thing I liked, and I'll talk about in a second. And the other thing is the like the winner or loser of the auction. The winner essentially pays, but it doesn't go directly to a person. So in a lot of auction games, like if you look at Container, when you essentially when you sell something, the winner of the auction pays you directly, and that gives you an influx of cash directly to that person. In this case, you're bidding with power. And the power, after whatever wins, one of the person's going to get the benefits or negative benefits from the thing, and all the power goes in the center to be claimed the next round. So people can choose to claim the power the next round, and I think that method feels fair, because you can even try to claim your own power back that you spent on your previous, on the previous auction. So it might not be gone for long, and it's evenly divided between all the players. So I think the auctions felt fair. One other thing that led to also the fairness of the auctions is the fact that I would say it's not always clear what all the benefits are going to be from the auction, or where all the negative stuff is going to be, and how negative it's going to be, or how positive it's going to be. So winning, I guess, it never felt too important to win a single auction, but it felt important to win. Occasionally, it felt really important to win an auction, and sometimes it turned out to be less important than you would expect, or sometimes you spin a lot, and it led to some fun moments there. I think overall, most people like the gameplay. I'll talk about a couple problems that people brought up, and I'll talk about my feelings on it. And then I think that there was maybe the best moments in it is there was, at least for our group, there was a couple really funny incidences. And I think that was, I still remember, I don't want to talk about the specifics, but there were some funny incidents in the game that were really good moments that I don't think other games, I've seen. All right. So, and I'll say the ending was, I think some people really liked the ending. Some people didn't. I thought it was a good ending. I'm not going to talk about what happens. And I thought it was a fair ending, which is also important. But you probably won't see. You might have some inklings of what's coming, but you probably won't see it coming till it happens, till you get to the end. So, so some negatives here. One thing is that, and I'll talk about. It kind of goes along with in-game scoring. Is that sometimes your goals aren't clear. Like sometimes you're like, well, what am I doing? Like, why am I doing this? And I guess the book gives you a little bit of an idea, but you won't have a great idea until the game ends. The story is okay. So I think that maybe the biggest improvement would be a better storyline, or better storylines, I guess, because it's a kind of a compilation of multiple stories. But also, in my opinion, having it so that less information is just given to you on a essentially a event. So most events will have one or two, maybe I think some maybe even had 3 things that change per side, A or nay. Sometimes they show nothing, you don't have any clue, but most of the time they say like 1, 2, or 3 things change. Sometimes there's surprises with them. Many times there's not. And I think that having surprises that directly relate to the story, that kind of engages you more with that story and says, okay, I listened to this story. What do I think's going to happen if I do this? Instead of just saying, here's what happened. And it'll make people care a little bit more about the story, which I think if you make a really good story can bring people more into the game. So I think maybe that's perhaps my biggest improvement for the game. Now, some other people that we played with said, I didn't even like the story at all. Maybe this would have brought them into it. Maybe they would have cared more. The other negative was they thought that they wanted, like, when it didn't show exactly what you were getting, it made them a little bit frustrated because they may have bid on something and got something they didn't expect. But I think that's part of this game. I think that this game really will grow around the story. Like if you integrate the mechanisms in with the story more, you're gonna end up with a better game. The other thing I think is that 15 games might be a little bit too long. I know that there's a story here, but I think that potentially maybe a new version of this, or a new King's Dilemma style game could do justice in, like, I think 12 games is pretty ideal. So if you kind of cut out a few of those games, you could end up with better gameplay and a story integration. So in another language. So let's go back to here and we'll see what I thought of King's Dilemma. So overall, I think it's a unique game. We had a lot of fun. I don't think I'm going to play it again like most Legacy games, but I would be interested if they come out with a new version or a new, like this. It has this dilemma card system. I'm assuming they're going to come out with another game because this was pretty successful. So I'll give it an 8.5 out of 10. I think that this is going to be something to watch and see if these designers come out with just a new version. I hope they do, using a similar system with maybe some improvements that we talked about. So there you have it. If you like this video, please like and please subscribe. Please take a look at our other videos. Thank you.